live and direct with your boy Billboard Fresh. You're watching Gaming Out Loud, and today we have a great episode. I'm talking real major. We're playing The Division, and we have quite the episode to bring to y'all. So I hope y'all ready for some interesting stories. I hope y'all are nice and chill and relaxed right now, because it's about to be real crazy. So today I'm going to be talking about several experiences. Hold on. I'm going to be talking about several experiences in the music industry that I had, that I've learned from, and I want to call them experiences. I don't want to, people, there's no such, in my book, there's no such thing as mistakes. It's all a learning experience. There's no such thing as any entrepreneur or boss, CEO or whatever that started up a business and did not make a mistake, all right? There's no such thing as a person that followed their dreams and did not stumble a little bit, and trip and fall, man. It's a part of life. It's all a part of life. So this is not, like I said, a mistake, but it was my learning experiences. I've came across many culture vultures. Yes, when I was young, I've been blessed enough to come in contact with some pretty established individuals in the music industry, fashion industry, movie industry, the list goes on. And I've taken a lot of lessons from them, not from them in general, not the people. I guess indirectly the people, because I knew the sort of people I did not want to involve myself with. But more importantly, like I said, just the overall experience. So I want to talk about the first one of my first opportunities to be able to get a major opportunity within, I guess, what people would say with a major record label, was with Universal. I had to go, and it was quite an event. There was I'm gonna say the open. It wasn't an open mic. It was an event over at Quad Studios in New York City. For those who know, I'm from Harlem, New York City, and it was an event. It was a showcase. It was a showcase at Quad Studios. Shout out to Tammy Feliciano for putting me on with that. One of the greatest experiences of my life outside of performing at the Apollo. And I think I'm going to save that experience. That's going to be, I'd save my Apollo experience for another episode. We'll save that for a future date. So I got a chance to perform at Quad Studios in front of some execs, A&Rs, countless people, some movers and shakers for Universal Records. They were offering distribution deals to artists that they felt were qualified and had good enough music, at least a single, to be able to be marketed, a marketable image, marketable music, etc. And I got a chance to be picked to actually showcase my talent. And like I said, I will say again, it was the greatest experience of my life. One of the greatest experiences of my life. And I say that because at the end of the day, I did get picked, but I'm going to explain how that situation went sideways overall. So I got a chance to get picked. Oh, hold on. I got a chance to. Oh, shot him in his doofy little hoodie. I got a chance to get picked to perform, and I chose a song called The Hopscotch. It was more of a dance themed sort of song, and it was really dope. I knew it was going to be type ill. I knew that this particular record would get the exec's attention. And it did just that. I performed the song, and they asked me my age. I was like, what, 26 or something like that. They didn't even believe I was like 26, 27. They thought I was actually 19, 20. It was a little joke. They was like, there must be something in the water in Harlem that's making you look extra young. But I've never looked my age anyway, for the most part. So I got a chance to perform. It's a song called The Hopscotch. Maybe I'll bring that out as a throwback. It's a bit of a throwback song for me. And like I said, it was a dance-themed sort of song. And they was feeling it. You know, I actually went out there with you know, a couple of my peoples. One of them who were performing, who had their song, and they didn't even get picked. So like I said, I knew what it is that the radio wants. I knew what it is that the people want, and I knew what it is that these execs wanted. And so, like I said, I performed this song called The Hopscotch. Maybe I'll bring that out. I might just bring that out as a premiere, just to maybe in my next episode, because I also performed that song at the Apollo, and that's one of the songs that helped me got chosen, that got me chosen to perform at the Apollo as well. So maybe I'll premiere that in another episode. So needless to say, like I said, the song's called The Hopscotch, and they was feeling it. They was going crazy. I got picked, you know, got my name on the list, and I was going to be called up, you know, to come in, do some paperwork the next couple days. And like I said, it's all at Quad Studios. It was about over 50 artists performing his songs, and it's about over 50 artists, man, performing songs. It was a pretty big event, a pretty big deal. So I get a call a few days later, and it's from, you know, a good friend of mine who pretty much blessed me with the opportunity to be able to perform. And she's like, hey man, the deal went through. I'm like, what's going on? Like, what you mean the deal went through? Like, how everything went through? I thought everything was straight. Like, everything was looking good. Everything was looking copacetic. I had a whole marketing plan down and ready. I mean, I was extra hyped. So I was told that a particular individual on the label, well, on that team, I guess, you know, who was bringing, you know, supposed to bring on the talent and everything, was stealing money. I'm like, how is he stealing money? And he's supposed to be getting the talent on board. It was very, very confusing to me, but it was a testament as to the greed within the music industry, man. We call them culture vultures. And the funny thing was that they were even white, because when you hear culture vultures, people think automatically, oh, it's a white person trying to take over, you know, not even trying to take over, taking over an industry, a culture, and not having the closest connection to the actual people, you know. And which is true. That's actually the predominance of the industry. But this was unfortunately a person of color, and it was very, very disappointing, because like I said, I felt like I had an opportunity to bring something different to the world, and I had an opportunity to change, you know, put Harlem on a map, put Harlem in a different light. I had music on the playlist for days. And I think that y'all gonna really like this song, you know, when I do premiere it in another episode with my Apollo story, when I performed at the Apollo Theater. I think performing at the Apollo Theater was one of my greatest memories of all time, and that's a dope story unto itself. So needless to say, I got that call. Next thing you know, it's like, hey, there's somebody that then the dude actually wound up going to jail. He wound up going to jail. He was stealing money, and the whole deal fell through, because I wasn't the only artist, mind you. It was supposed to be a handful of us that was going to get picked and brought on with this distribution deal. 25%, you know, quarter waters all day, and I was going to own a majority of my publishing, music, and everything. All right. So, like I said, needless to say, this was an opportunity that just went down the drain, blew up in my face, just like your man's tank. Just like your man's tank, just blew up right in my face. You know what I mean? And I'm not gonna say I was more just frustrated at how our people constantly backbite and manipulate and just do really stupid stuff and bring each other down rather than help each other out. Here it is that we was all in a legit opportunity to just take all of our talent to a whole nother level, and then just like that, it evaporated within a week, all because somebody wanted to be greedy. But like I said, I learned my lesson, and the biggest lesson I learned out of that was the sort of person that I will not do business with. It helped me be able to read people a little bit better. I was still young, and I was still learning, I was hungry. You hear this countless stories. You hear the story countless amounts of times. But I'm just glad that I didn't get myself in a situation, had that thing went through. And then next thing you know, I'm over here just in a whole nother predicament that I really, I'm going to say I can't get out of, because I was innocent the whole way. But it's probably a lot worse because I'm an accomplice or something like that. So at the end of the day, like I said, it was a blessing in disguise. All right. So that's one instance with One Culture Vulture in the music industry and Universal Records and my distribution deal. I had another, and I'm gonna keep all these people named. They're gonna all rename. They all going to remain nameless. I'm not gonna bring out no names. I'm not into that. I'm not into exposing people unless they try to play themselves crazy. But at the end of the day, they know who they are. I also had the opportunity to do, now that I think about it, there was an opportunity when I was working with an individual who was working with the sister network, NBC. What was it called? It was NBC. They had a sister network back in the days. It was like a subgroup under NBC. And he was looking for models. All right, let me tell you how I got into this whole industry in general. I had a team of models, all right? A team of models that I was managing. I was into model management, hard body. I had a team I started up called the Diamond Girl Club. And we was ringing bells. I've done video shoots for French Montana, done video shoots Rick Ross, Joel Santana, the list goes on. Mama Jones, the list goes on. I don't really talk about my past as far as being in the industry, because at the end of the day, it yielded I would say some pretty good connections, but overall I've just I met some good people and I met some horrible people. And I just just taken that moment a really long time to reflect on all those moments to be able to strategize on how I wanted to move and operate in the future. So I'm just now starting to come out with a lot of this stuff, and I hope you guys enjoy it and learn something from it. I'm not sure how many of y'all are into music, not sure how many of y'all into just being an entrepreneur in general, but there's plenty of people out there who's looking to steal from ideas. And if you're young and you hungry, they looking to use you, your energy, your fresh ideas, and just capitalize. But what goes around comes around. That's one thing that I've definitely learned, and I'm happy that it worked. I'm sure everybody that ever tried to play themselves or did play themselves in my dealings, it's going to backfire on them one way or the other, if it already hasn't. Sorry. So like I said, I had a team that I developed called the Diamond Girls Club, and the reason why I got out of that was because I was just meeting and the majority of my team was urban models, quote unquote urban models, which I don't even like to use that title, because I feel like it categorizes us. Meanwhile, we are the epitome of swag as a culture. We make the world go round. And when I say we, I'm talking about people of color. And there's no disrespect to nobody of any other race, but let's be real. We are the rock stars. That is what it is. And so my main thing for creating that team was to teach individualism, teach entrepreneurialism and being a boss. How to not chase after agencies with your hand out, but create your own opportunities. I had an opportunity that would have put us on the map. I'm not even going to disclose that because I might just still, do that in the near future. But at the end of the day, there was way too many people just satisfied with running to agencies and doing their hands out. And one thing that I found out, that's another thing, that they would listen to people, because I had opportunities for them to try out for MTV and everything, and they would listen to these white execs with pure divine attention. And here I am telling them, giving them opportunities of how to play the game. You didn't even get yourself into this opportunity, mind you, and you referencing what they saying and doing, and you just taking. I just did not get it. I'm like, come on, you got this far. This is how to play it. But it's just something about our people and sticking together that we just don't understand, and it's like a curse. It's like a curse on our mind. It's something that is bamboozling, not even to me no more, because I know what it is. Like I said, it is a curse on our people. My main thing for forming this team was to produce a team full of models that was bosses. Everybody want to be a boss, but don't nobody want to put the work in to be a boss. I don't get it. How you want to be a boss but don't want to put the work in? I'm putting you on how to put, you got to invest in yourself. They want you to put the money up. They want you to set up the gigs. They want you to set up. Man, I was getting them opportunities for BET. Like I said, man, BET, the list goes on. And it was just like, y'all got to learn how to put work in yourselves. As a manager, all I'm really supposed to do is just, keep you focused. The models, I'm not a babysitter. The models wanted a babysitter, a coddler, someone just to sweat them and do everything for free. And for the most part, I was doing it for free. At one point, man, me and my team had it so popping. We had limo rides for them. We was showing up to events in limo rides. We over here, we ringing bells. Man, I had haters. I'm not even gonna talk about the magazines and the different model groups out there that was hating on me. They didn't even know me, but I knew, like I said, what we was doing was what we had to do. If you don't have people who are unfortunately just mad at what you're doing, you may not be doing something right. But even if you don't, if you got people that's inspired by what you're doing something right. You have to either have people who's inspired by what you're doing, or people that are just outright just upset by what you're doing. In order for you to know that you getting it rocking the right way you're supposed to. Because if one of the two is not happening, you're not really doing anything at all. Okay. So like I said, I got into that to help build up the esteem and change the image for the average quote unquote urban model, because the average urban model, oh my God, they over here really shooting at me. When you think of an urban model, you think of a chick who's just half naked, booty all out, and just posing with their booty out. My idea was to reform, to change, to uplift and empower. And it's so stupid to me because here I am with your best interest, and here y'all are doing the same thing that everybody else is doing. I mean, and I'm not saying that I was everybody. I met my fair share of individuals who would listen and they would win, but they would just get blinded by the likes and wanting to get attention. It's like social media turned these chicks into attention whores nowadays. It's just like, Nobody wants to be an individual. Everybody just want to be liked. What about wanting to inspire, be yourself, and not do what everybody else is doing? I know that I don't understand the mind frame of a follower. After you get to a certain age, a certain point in your life, you should not want to just be a follower. You should want to be a leader. You should want to do something that's going to etch your stone in life. But, that's just always been my thinking, and my thinking has always been, for the most part, different. So, long story short, yes, I did countless gigs, but it all fell through. Why? Because I had a greedy partner who shall remain nameless as well. Greed kills business. Lesson number one, make sure the intentions of the people you got around you is the intentions of it lines up with yours. Because people will only do something that's going to benefit them and will only put in as much work as they feel before they feel like they need to get a handout or want to be a part of something or whatever. And meanwhile, I didn't even want to be the dude that would want to be in the front line like that. I wanted to be that dude that was behind the scenes making things happen. And the person that was just so thirsty to be the man, quote unquote, was making himself look extra dumb by lying and manipulating, stealing money behind my back. We doing video shoots, stealing money. You know what I'm saying? We doing all sorts of things, and I mean, he's talking crazy behind my back. It was one of the wackest, like I said, it was one of the wackest experiences on the planet. But people do funny things with money. Starts to get involved. Oh, slow down, fam. Now you cooked. When money is rocking, people do some funny things. And the funny thing was that it wasn't even like it was a lot of money. I'm glad it wasn't a lot of money on top of that, because had it been a lot, God only knows just what kind of things that person would have did. Because the more money, more problems. They was bringing problems with short money. I could only imagine if we had long money. So that's one experience. So yes, I got out of that. I got out the whole modeling, model management movement. Once that started happening, you know what I mean? So let's fast forward. This is how I got into the whole model management, music, everything. Not so much music, sorry, but more so, helping individuals promote gigs, get gigs and do fashion shows, movies, video shoots, etc., etc. So like I said, it was just one of those things that just did not make sense to me, because sometimes you feel like the lone man in the wilderness when you're talking about being being your own person, your own entity. And the individuals, when all they know is this formulaic approach to how to do or how to approach an industry or do business in a particular industry. And when people have that, it's like a slave mentality. It really is a slave-like mentality to not trust somebody of your own kind who has your best interest. You know what I'm saying? You could read people. You should be able to. If you can't, then that's something that maybe you should work on before entering into an industry or to a business that requires you to read people so that you could advance yourself the best way possible. So, excuse me, I just went off on a rant, man, because it's just one of the biggest mind-boggling things on the planet, So, fast forward back to the NBC. I think it was, I don't think it's NBC nonstop. It was NBC something. I'm going to look up the sister network. Hold on. They got me wanting to look that up right now. So I had an opportunity. Here's another example of a culture vulture. I had an opportunity to do some shows with an individual who was working for NBC's sister company. Okay. And this individual, knew that I had good talent for recruiting. Knew I had a lot of talent on my model management team. but because they felt like they had their name working with NBC and everything, they felt like they was doing something. Okay, I see what it is. You know what I'm saying? I fell back. I wasn't want to see how they was moving. I think it was NBC Was it? I think it was NBC Universal. It might have been NBC Universal that I had the opportunity to bring some models on and do some work with this particular person. So and I felt bad after this particular situation, but there was I got bam, and I was young, you know what I'm saying. I had to pay an application fee apparently for this particular opportunity to get these. I didn't have to, but the models had to for this particular opportunity to be a part of this show, and I got it. It was like a rack. It was a whole rack. It was a rack. You know what I'm saying? And here I am. I got everything situated, everything ready. Got the money. Like I said, I got a whole rack for your man, ASAP. Next thing you know, I don't even hear from your man. Then I find out he has a drug problem. I find out, what I'm saying, he had lost the opportunity of, sometime later on. And it was just like, how do you explain that after going hard like that, hard on the boulevard and getting all that bread? How do you explain that to the people who put their trust in you? So after a while, I got sick and tired of putting my name out there and then looking crazy. Same thing with my partner when we did the Diamond Girls. He's over here trying to, smash the models, trying to not only manipulate me, you know what I'm saying? Well, I already seen that from a mile away. So that wasn't really the easy part. But as far as, stealing money, I was like messing up opportunities with, the people we doing business with. I was doing more damage control at one point. It started to seem like I was doing more damage control than putting people on. So that's really what prompted my exodus up out of the whole model management movement. I was like, I'm good. I got the best intentions, but sometimes, everybody else may not have the best intentions, and unfortunately, that indirectly links you with the other people, and so that makes you look just as bad and thirsty as the other person. And I didn't want to be a part of that no more. So, hold on, let me break up this little cat fight real quick. Get the getting. Alright, so that's my culture vulture experiences within the music industry. I also had a opportunity. Shout out to Tammy Feliciano again. Like, it's my homegirl, real talk. That's family. That's more than home. That's my fam, real talk. Shout outs to the whole fam. Shout outs to Tammy Feliciano Productions. I had an opportunity to work with an individual, a team actually, who was getting the licensing from Hershey's, the actual candy company. They were getting licensing from Hershey's to do to do a clothing line and other merchandise in general for Hershey's clothing. That included Whoppers, that included Bubble Yum, that included just any Hershey's brand, Hershey's Kiss, that included Mr. Good Bar, that included that included any Hershey's brand. We were supposed to create we was going to be creating a merchandise hold on. We were supposed to be creating merchandise for the actual brand, and I had an opportunity to hop on with that. And man, that joint was a great look. It was definitely going good. Everything was rocking and rolling. You know, we was hearing all sorts of good news. According to the higher ups within the team, they're gonna remain nameless, like I said. And I was put on a project to create some sneakers for Bubble Yum. Me and a couple of other people. The sneakers, the designs was ill. I'm not going to give away those ideas because that opportunity may present itself in the future. So I don't want to put that idea and then get that taken because people are thirsty nowadays. But needless to say, the idea was dope. It was crack. The sneakers was crazy. The idea was so crazy. People was going ham over it. They was feeling that. They was feeling that joint to the max degree. And then that opportunity fell through. Guess why? You guessed it. Because people were greedy. Okay? People wanted to keep money for themselves. There was from what I heard, there was a execs meeting with some of the top execs from Hershey and the execs from the team that I was working on, and they had an opportunity to determine whether or not they wanted to, how do they want the funding to get the project up and going. They were given a choice to choose between a check or cash. First of all, my question would be to y'all out there, once you tune in, if you are tuning in right now, what would you choose if you had a big company that trusted you to be able to create merchandise with their likenesses on it? Okay, what would you choose for the funding method? Would you choose, check, have it wired to a business account? I mean, pretty much wired to your business account, or would you choose cash? What would you choose? Put that in the comments. For all my business people out there, with the business mentality, what would you choose? I'm really interested in knowing what would you guys choose. So, needless to say, I was gonna give my answer. I know I would choose to have the check deposited right into a business account, ASAP. No questions, no doubts about it. One thing's for sure, two things for certain. Let's put that check right into the account, right, whenever you can. Have proof of concept and everything, ASAP. So, needless to say, you could guess what they guessed. I mean, you could guess what they chose. They chose cash. And that was one of the most head-scratching moments in my entire life when I heard that. Because here we are sitting on all these fire designs, and then all of that, just like that, evaporated right out of the window. Just like that. And I'm over here like, dude, how do you do that? That begged me the question, what was your intentions from the first place? Was your intentions originally to actually do legit business? Or was it a good, rich, quick sort of scheme or something like that? Until this day, I still don't have the full answer, And that's what sucks about this whole thing, Because people just get blindsided by money and, let me get up out of here. People just get so caught up with money and, they miss the bigger picture. Money's gonna come. You gotta. It just goes back to my. One of my last statements. You gotta chase your passion, not the money. If you're doing something that you love and you're doing it the right way, good business brings more business. Okay, Good business brings more business, and it brings the right business. You want the right people. You want to do business with the right people. You don't want to do business with crooks, man. You don't want that sort of people in your circle, because your name is indirectly linked to that, you know? And when you have your name, you have to protect your name. You have a brand, you have to protect your brand. You have to protect your name. That is an important thing to do. And that is the reason why I left the modeling management industry. And that's the reason why I had to get up out of there. And once I found that out, I'm like, man, I don't want my name attached to something like this, you know, because that could indirectly bring me down. Protection, not only of your brands, but of your name, is an important thing. Protecting your name is more important than protecting your brand, almost. They almost go hand in hand. But at the end of the day, your name, no matter what brand you create, your name is ultimately behind it all. And you always got to protect that. So needless to say, we had this opportunity with Hershey, and then that flew right down the drain, all because of people being greedy. And I hope that I'm hoping that people see what's been the underlying, what's been the underlying, I would say, reason behind the downfall of a lot of people, dreams, projects, etc. Greed. You cannot be greedy and call yourself doing business, because your mind, your judgment is clouded, and you start doing things and compromising yourself, which ultimately compromises your brand. So that was another instance and another opportunity right down the drain. So let's talk about something a little bit more funny, I guess. I had an opportunity to do a photo shoot with some models with Vamp Life, Jim Jones. That's Jim Jones clothing line. Shout out to my cousin Boogie for setting that up. Shout out to my cousin Dane setting it up. And I was a little bit more busy around that time when when I was told about it. So I had my quote-unquote partner during the time with Diamond Girls Club. I said, hey, you recruit the models, and we'll meet up down there, XYZ, blase, and we'll make this happen. I actually wound up bringing in 2 to 3. I actually wound up bringing in 3 models. One came late, and the one didn't show up, and then the one that I did have meet go down there, she came early, she got picked. My partner, quote unquote, brought in like 15 models, and ain't none of them got picked. They all got dissed by the photographer at that moment. And it was pretty funny, because here I am walking in to a situation. I got down there, by the time I got down there, they was already there. And this is a group of chicks outside just with the angry face. I ain't even gonna front. A lot of them, almost all of them look hit. All of them look hit. I ain't gonna lie to you. I don't know what my partner was thinking that time, bringing in those chicks, but they all look crazy. And I wish that I would have, did some, what's the word? Some sort of screening before actually giving the okay to have them come down there. But hindsight is 2020. But needless to say, I got down there. Everybody's tight. Everybody's mad. And I'm like, yo, first of all, what's going on? Because all I see is a bunch of tight faces. And I walk into a situation where there's like 1,000 girls asking me questions at the same time. I'm like, first of all, you all gotta speak at once. Like, I don't got time to be trying to decipher what is going on with all this loud talking right now, because y'all mad y'all didn't get picked. And there was just like this sense of entitlement. I'm like, obviously, first of all, I cannot make the people pick y'all. That's another thing with urban models, quote unquote. You can't, this is weird sense of entitlement. That's because they don't like to put in work. And I'm like, I can't make them pick you. I'm like, why are y'all even trying to be mad at me? So I did it that ASAP. I said, first of all, real talk, let's just calm all that down right now, okay? That's the first thing. Second thing, why don't y'all explain yourselves what happened? Why don't y'all articulate like grown-ups so that I could try to figure out what happened? Because I didn't know what happened. I kind of figured, hey, they didn't get picked, but I wanted to hear this side of the story. I didn't want to make assumptions. So, Lord and behold, what I was thinking, it was the case. They didn't get picked, and they just salty. They sick, they tight, all of the above. And I'm like, what do you expect? Some of them was looking all just, I don't even know what kind of outfits they had on. They was just looking extra crazy. I was like, I don't know what, y'all must be drunk for coming in looking like that. That was my first thought. But of course, you gotta be sensitive when it comes to females' feelings when it comes to that. Their pride is already hurt or whatever. So, they hurting. So I didn't want to kick a wounded soldier while they down. So, I exercised empathy, was like, hey, listen, man, like I said, at the end of the day, I can't control none of that, but hey, things happen. Take this as a learning experience. And when you come to another event, you come more correct. Maybe this will be something that you could learn from. All right. And of course, they wasn't even trying to hear that. We came all the way down here. We woke up early. We did this. We did that. I'm like, first of all, I came and woke up early too. So everything y'all talking about makes no sense to me. Let's not even go there. All right, I'm up here early just like you. And if only one of the models, the one I chose, because I have a good eye for talent, the one I chose got picked, that's not my fault. You can't be mad at me over that. So I'm like, it's not my it wasn't my event. I ain't even gonna front. Even if it was my event, I wouldn't even pick half of them. And that's just real. That's just real chop. There's no disrespect to any of them, but they gotta understand image is everything, and you can't have everybody in anything, because your brand, that's your image. That is what you have to protect. That is your face. That is your name. That is everything underneath the sun. So, of course, like I said, it didn't seem like that was really getting through to them. So they was just extra sick, man. And it's just one of those things that, you try to help teach them a lesson, but except for them taking into account what it is that you're trying to teach them, they just all up in their feelings. And I'm like, why are y'all all up in your feelings? And all y'all got to do is just live and learn. This is not going to be the last opportunity. So it's just like, do what you got to do. Do what you got to do. Learn from your experience, and you just move on, because not every experience is going to be the same. Every experience is not going to be the same, okay? And so, like I said, it was just like pulling teeth. They just were not getting it. And that's just one of the many reasons why I had to get up out of there. I had to get up out of the whole model management movement. And I'm just glad that I did. I'm not gonna lie to you, because it was just one of those things that just made no sense to me, as far as why people have this false sense of entitlement. And meanwhile, there's so many people out there putting in work, and this is all you got to do. If you put in work, the work speaks for itself. Good product, good work, it speaks for itself. It just is what it is. It's just, you don't have to go crazy. You don't have to be extra with it. All you got to do is just speak for itself. Here's a picture of me with Little Nat from Hot 97. Y'all could look it up. Here's Little Nat from Hot 97 interviewing me. I don't know if y'all can see that. I just know that this lighting is horrible right now. I apologize for that. But you can see this on my photos. Here you go. You can see this on my photos. This is the Hershey's event. Little Nat from Hot 97. You can find this on my mobile uploads, okay? For those if you thinking I'm lying. Here's the shots with Dame. You can find all this on my mobile uploads. Alright. Here's the shots with Dame. With the models. You know, shout outs to the cousin for showing love. I feel like that was the least that I could do. You know, for them not getting picked, but you know, he showed wild love that day. All right, so no, these stories are not fabricated; it's all real. I'm not over here just talking about something I don't go through. All right. Here's another. I do have. That's not. You know, I have some good experiences. Matter of fact, let me show you. Here's a. I did a dope video shoot with Mama Jones. That's Jim Jones' mom. I'm gonna find that on Instagram for y'all real quick. I did a really dope photo shoot with that. Okay. I mean, not a dope video shoot with her, and it was a lot of fun. And she's really, really cool. I did more than one video shoot. Shouts to Timothy, my man Tim Hopewell, for, you know, plugging that. Shouts to D. Ellis. All right. It's Mama Jones right here. All right, for those, you know, I'm not out here faking, not just talking about it. Follow my Instagram, billboard_B. I'm not out here faking. I know this camera's horrible, but here's the Mama Jones. Okay. I do this. I was doing this for real. I'm still am doing this. It's in a different light. All right. Here's one of the shots. Here's one of the shots for my cousin Dame Dash. We did the Vamp Life shoot. Come on, man. We did the Vamp Life shoot. Damn, this kid's not. If you go to, sorry about that shot. That shot is horrible. Go to billboard_B. You can't miss it. Can't miss it, man. I'm not just talking about this. I do this, man. Real talk. Last but not least, let's talk about my college basketball experience and what it is that I loved. Sorry, and what it is that I learned from that experience. Sorry, and how I was able to apply that to my entrepreneur experience. One thing I learned is always be ready, because you never know when your time is going to be called or when the opportunity is going to be, you know, shown to you. And if you're not ready, opportunities will leave you. I was actually pretty much the 12th man on a Division II collegiate junior college basketball team, Erie Community College. I had a great work ethic, but I was always nervous. You know what I'm saying? It took me a while because I was a walk-on. I never played high school basketball. But I did understand the importance of being ready. And when my time was called, I messed that up. I was not ready. You know, I was fumbling. I had turnovers. I had the opportunity. It was just one, but that one could have turned into many. I'm not trying to make no excuses either. I did have an opportunity, but you know, after I made enough noise and I got my shot, I didn't do nothing with it. Always be ready, y'all. That's one thing you do. I put in a lot of work to make that team. I outbeat a lot of people. It was like 40 plus, almost like 40 individuals for this one, this last spot on this Erie Community College Division II junior college team. And I made it, you know? So I knew I had the work to put it in. But because of my lack of high school experience, I knew that I needed that extra something in order to, you know, to put me on that map. But I was not ready. So the biggest lesson I learned was always be ready. ABR, always be ready. Because you never know when the opportunity is going to present itself. And you never know if that opportunity will ever come again. So I'm grateful that I, you know, learned that. I had that opportunity. And, you know, I just did what I had to do. I didn't play much longer after that. I actually wound up killing Erie Community College in a summer league over at Damon College. Ask about me. I dropped like 20-something against them. So I knew, like I said, I knew what I think, but that was about a year and a half after. Oh wow, why did I do that? That was about a year and a half after. Oh, that was probably the wrong move to do. Oh, after about a year and a half to, you know, to gain that confidence. So that was the biggest lesson that I learned. And I learned that when you believe in yourself and you want something bad enough, with hard work, you can achieve anything. With God, the Most High, faith, hard work, you can achieve anything. And that's real. That's real talk. So I hope y'all enjoyed this episode. I hope that you know, you guys really learned something, and maybe we could exchange more stories together. Leave some comments. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube if you like this episode. Follow me on Facebook. I appreciate y'all. You mind watching Gaming Out Loud with Billboard Freshington. Peace.